Good morning, everybody, and welcome back for your weekly energy forecast and oracle reading, where we're going to do an energy report to see what energy we're going to be dealing with this week, and for useful hacks from Spirit to see how we can navigate the energy to our advantage. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's take some cards out for the beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday. What do we have from the tarot? We have the Hermit. It helps with glasses on. Okay, so here, if we look at this card, isn't it just gorgeous? This lady is kind of sitting on the top of the rock and she's contemplating her existence. So the Hermit is there. There's a lot of meanings that are relevant to this card, but what I'm getting from Spirit this week is to really tune into your own truth today and tomorrow, to take some quiet time for yourself. And I'm hearing the word reflection. To really reflect, on the areas of your life that you feel maybe are not working as well for you as what you would like them to. And Spirit is saying, because information is incoming now, so it's like we're going to be getting answers easier. We're going to be getting the guidance, our own intuitive guidance from Source, a lot easier. And I'm hearing the words expect direction. So we're going to be getting some direction from Spirit in the beginning of the week. So take some quiet time. And another meaning of this card is to be aware of loneliness. So, because it's good to be a hermit sometimes, but sometimes it can be taken to the extreme where we feel isolated and alone. But in this instance, it's more about really connecting with yourself and taking the quiet time to listen and to be open to what Spirit's guidance has for us. Okay, beautiful. Let's get some further elaboration from the Angels and Ancestors by Carl Gray. What guidance is here for the beginning of the week, please? So, we're getting this card often. Feel loved and comforted. How beautiful is that? Mother Earth, Gaia, right? So this is about feeling nourished and supported by Spirit. Even when we're feeling a bit alone, okay, there's always nourishment and support nearby from Spirit. And I'm hearing the word stay grounded as well, connecting with nature, because nature is our support, isn't it? So beautiful, beautiful energy here for the beginning of the week. And I thought we'd work with a beautiful deck today. It's called The Sacred Forest by Denise Lynn. I don't think I've used this deck with you guys before, but let's see what comes up. What life hacks, what guidance is here for us for the beginning of this week? Oh, beautiful. It says wood nymph, beauty. So this is really about pausing. Thank you. That's elaboration on this one. Pausing, taking some time for some quiet, right? And really stopping and observing the beauty that surrounds us. Because Spirit is saying, even though the world seems to have gone mad at the moment, there's lots of hardship and disaster, and there's all sorts going on, but there's beauty as well, right? For example, they're asking us to acknowledge the beauty of pain, they're saying. So in other words, if you are experiencing something really traumatizing, like if you've lost somebody that you love, or they've passed away, or there's been a divorce, or there's been some sort of loss, there's a beauty that's there. And that I know it sounds awful what I'm saying, but please bear with me. There's a beauty in the love that's there, right? And there's beauty in truth as well, I'm hearing Spirit say. Beauty, just put my cheek. Sorry, what's that all about? Don't hold back. Okay. Don't hold back your truth. Thank you. There's a rawness and a beauty in tragedy. There's a rawness and a beauty in loss. And what that is love. Because when we're grieving something, it's the grief is actually love that's got nowhere to go, you see? And there's a beauty in that. So we've been acknowledged, we've been asked, to acknowledge out there what we see, as much as there's so much dark and drama and loss and trauma and all that. But there's a beauty in us humans, in how we cope, in how we reach out to each other. There's a beauty in the love that we all hold, right? And Spirit is saying it's time to extend it, right? In other words, if you're seeing people around you that are struggling, that are battling in some way or form, extend a hand, extend a hug, extend comfort, because there's a beauty in the rawness of our humanness. And we really do need to acknowledge that. It's very important. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting energy today and tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. What do we need to surrender? What's going to help to lighten the load in the beginning of the week? What do we need to surrender? Surrender negative thinking. It says you have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say thank you for sharing and quickly refocus on positive affirmations. That's a good one. So we have a negative thought. Thank you for sharing, but not my stuff. Beautiful. Okay, so this is about letting go of judgment. Okay, so when we see what's going on in the world, whether there's pain, agony, tragedy, loss, disaster, whatever it is, let us not judge it, right? Let us not go, oh, well, look what's happening in the world. It's all going to shit. No. There's a beauty that's there. Let's shift our perspective to the awakening that we're all experiencing, because as we see so much going on in the world, it can awaken our compassion, it can awaken our love for others and for just being a human being. So let us not judge what's going on, let us not judge ourselves either, but to see everything as beautiful in its own way, right? How beautiful is that? Very interesting energy today and tomorrow. Okay, what guidance is here? What energy is here for the middle of the week? What are we dealing with in the middle of the week? Wow, we have the sun. Isn't that just such a happy card? And that the sun card is exactly that. It's about light. But I'm hearing the return of the light. Now, we've been getting in a lot of light recently, huge influx of light. And what I'm getting with this also, in the middle of the week, we can expect solar flares, right? And solar flares impact the sensitives among us quite deeply, in that we can feel emotional, tired, headache, sluggish, right? And that is because as we receive this influx of energy, this burst of energy from the sun, it shifts all of the stuff that lies dormant in our DNA, and it brings it up to the surface so that we can feel it, to heal it. And I'm hearing extreme self-care in the middle of the week. I'm also hearing happiness. Indulge in the happiness around you. Again, it's what we choose to see. Do we choose to see it's all going to hell, or do we choose to see the beauty? Do we choose to see the light? Do we choose to be part of that light? So this seems to be a bit of a theme that's following on from last week, because last week was a choice point. Last week we needed to decide which side of the swimming pool are we in. Are we in the muddy waters, awful, or are we going to go to the other side of the pool where the water is lovely and clean and sparkly and fresh? We need to pick. Are we going into the darker, the heavier, or are we going into the light? And I'm hearing the word support. So once again, we're receiving a lot of support from Spirit, from the universe, from the angels, from the ascended masters, from the guides, to really help us on our journey. So welcome in the sun in the middle of the week, right? I'm also hearing the word sunbathe, right? So in the middle of the week, try and take a bit of time outside. Obviously not middle of the day, you want to fry your skin to a crisp. But get that early morning sun, late afternoon sun, and just soak in the vitamin D that we get from the sun. How beautiful. Light after the dark. I'm hearing light after the dark. Okay, let's get some clarification on that. Let's get some further guidance. How do we navigate the energy of the middle of the week? Spring. It says, see your seeds grow. So as we have the sunshine, so we have our garden starting to bloom, right? So this is about seeing little results in the middle of the week for the seeds that you've been planting recently, right? What also sticks out for me is how this bunny is kind of leaping forward and taking flight, and this bunny is going forward. It's not going backwards. And of course, bunnies represent fertility, and it kind of ties in with the northern hemisphere at the moment, where they celebrate Ostara, right? So this is about rebirth as well. When the sun comes out, the garden grows, there's rebirth, there's a hive of activity. So beautiful energy in the middle of the week. You know what this feels like? This feels like we're coming out of the cocoon. It feels like we're coming out of the darkness and into the light. It feels like we're coming out of months and months and months of being in the shadow, of being in the depths and the dark, right? Which is essential. It's not a fun place to be in, but let's be real. We face a lot of our collective shadow over the last couple of months, and it's necessary because we need to go into the shadows to see what needs to be brought to the light. What do we need to work on? What do we need to release? What do we need to let go of? What do we need to purge? And we grow there. We feel like nothing's really happening. We can feel very, very dormant, but there's a lot happening there. The Spirit has given me the age-old analogy of the butterfly in the cocoon. It's dark in there. It's messy. This little caterpillar has to fall apart, basically. And it feels like it's dying and it's all the end of the world. But meanwhile, encoded in that little caterpillar's DNA is the instruction to evolve. So we've evolved enormously, I'm hearing, in the last 6 months. So think about, where were you in March, in the beginning of this year? Where were you? What was going on? What intentions did you set in March? Okay? Because as you set those intentions, right, it feels like we had to go and dig deep to release what was blocking us from getting to where we want to be, as in the intention that we want to get what we want, essentially. We had to clear the blocks. That's what we've been doing for the last 6 months. So now we're coming out of that. We're coming out of that cocoon like a butterfly, and we're going to start to experience the results of all of those efforts. And I'm hearing the words smoother, easier over the next while, because we've done the work, right? We're coming to life now, right? We're coming to life. I'm hearing that over and over. We're coming to life. Okay, let's see. What is next? What guidance is here from the sacred forest for the middle of the week? What guidance is here for the middle? I'm drawn to both of these cards. Let's see. Wow. Okay, we have Water Spirit, and it says manifesting dreams. So this ties in beautifully with what just came up there, as in we needing to have a look and see what is coming to life. Manifestation now is faster than what it's actually ever been before. But Spirit is reminding us once again that, you know, when we want to manifest something, when we want to create something, when we want to bring something into our experience, we have to match its vibration, right? In other words, we can't expect an amazing new partner and sit at home and do nothing about it. Okay? You know, the perfect person for us is not going to break into our house, right? We need to be out there. We need to be showing the world who we are. We need to say yes, you know, to social invitations. We need to show up to life, okay? And then we can meet life halfway, and then we'll attract a new partner into our lives. Do you see what I mean? And plus also in the process of manifesting, again, it's just an example, the perfect partner, it can be a case of you need to face your own shadow. You need to see what is blocking you from being a willing recipient of love. Do you see what I mean? Maybe you needed to face your own dark over the last 6 months. Maybe you needed to realize that there were traumas there that were blocking. And trauma creates belief patterns. So maybe there's been beliefs of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, people always hurt me, blah, 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 let me hide. But I want a new partner. Do you see? So we have to face our shadow and work through it. And that's why we've all been triggered so much over the last 6 months. I mean, let's be real, people. Have you noticed the triggers? Have you noticed how you've been poked and prodded over the last 6 months? That's why. It's to face that, to deal with that, to bring that all to the light of day so that we can start manifesting, so we can start getting what we want because we're matching its vibration, right? Beautiful. The next card that came out with it is Grace. It's called Wise Woman of the Grove. What sticks out for me is what looks like a treasure chest, and there's a beautiful gem inside there. And what I'm hearing with this is really acknowledge what you've been through, please, over the last 6 months since March, right? And again, I'm hearing acknowledge the losses, you know, what has been lost from your life, what has been taken away from you. There's beauty in that, right? And acknowledge yourself for surviving those things, for getting through them, for allowing those things to not make you bitter and miserable, but acknowledge those things for how they've maybe opened you up to love, opened you up to grace, opened you up to being a more willing receiver of what life is trying to bring you, right? Spirit is saying you are a beautiful being. You are source energy in physical form. Please never forget that. Right? Never ever forget that. Love, honor, and respect yourself for the divine sovereign being that you are, they say. Okay. Beautiful. Stunning. Stunning. Okay. Now let's see what guidance is here. What do we need to surrender in the middle of the week? What do we need to surrender? We need to surrender resentment. Okay. It says, holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. Release resentments, okay? Because again, after everything we've pushed through over the last 6 months, after everything we've experienced, it's easy to become bitter and resentful. Of course it is, right? And that's because we are human beings. It doesn't mean we can't get angry. It doesn't mean we can't get upset. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to gaslight here. I don't want to, you know, make you feel like it'd be false positive. No, that's not what it's about. This is about acknowledging the way that you feel, right? Certain events, of course, they're going to shake you. They're going to make you angry. They're going to make you upset, okay? But it's important that I've explained before that we need to express that. That energy's got to move through us, and that's why we've also had so many triggers over the last couple of months, so that we could face them, deal with them, and release them so that we don't become resentful. Because if you want to really mess up your life, and I speak from experience, if you want to really, really mess it up, something royal, hold on to resentment. Okay, that's a surefire way of creating an absolute mess in your life, because holding on to resentment is literally, as that saying goes, holding on to a hot coal and expecting the other person to get burnt. Okay, it doesn't work like that. It affects us, right? It affects us. And the resentment, they're saying resentment blocks the heart chakra completely. And our heart chakra is responsible for our immunity, right? Because it governs the thymus gland, which regulates our immune system. So you want to really be mindful. Have a check-in this week and see, where am I still holding on to resentment? Where do I need to release that resentment? And Spirit is saying we don't want to work with the word forgiveness. We don't like that word. We want to work with releasing attachment. Okay? As in, you could say things like, I release attachment to you and that situation for causing disaster in my life. I release you and I set myself free. I release you and I set myself free. Okay? Your heart chakra will expand and your immunity will improve as a result. That's a side effect. Okay? Immunity is a side effect of a beautiful open heart chakra. So let's surrender resentment. Resentment also affects the solar plexus chakra, by the way, which is our personal power center. Okay. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Now I'm excited to see what do we have for Friday and the weekend. Okay, let's see. Friday and the weekend. What energy is here, please, for Friday and the weekend? This one pops out. We have the Four of Pentacles. This card has also been coming up quite a lot. If you look at this lady, she's holding on to her purse and she's like, nah, that's mine. I'm not sharing. So Friday and the weekend, we might be, kind of finding that we want to hold on to things too tightly. It doesn't always have to be material. It can be anything. It can be our love. It can be our energy. Whatever it is we got going on, we might feel like we got to hold on so tightly. And Spirit is saying, not a good idea. Obviously, yes, be cautious. You don't want to throw your heart in the mud, right? You want to give your heart to those who've proved themselves worthy. And you want to share your resources with those who've also proven themselves worthy, etc., etc., etc. Okay? But this is about discernment. They're saying that this is about discernment, about figuring out who is worthy of you, right? Okay, so that sounds quite harsh, but it isn't. Boundaries, I'm also hearing. So don't hold on too tightly. Loosen your grip. Become a bit more flexible now that you know your worth, now that you know who you are, now that you know what you have to offer, okay? Give it to those who've proven themselves worthy, and where there is, I can never say this word, reciprocity, where there's reciprocation. People give to you, you give back, and that's how the tennis match goes, backwards and forwards. There has to be an equal sharing, okay? Don't hold on too tightly. Okay, let's see what guidance is here now from the angels and ancestors. What guidance is here for Friday and the weekend? We have Sage. It says, be devoted and committed. So this is devoting yourself to your plans, to your manifestations, to what you're trying to create in your life, right? This is also about being devoted and committed to, I'm also hearing courses of study. So if you're wanting to learn something, study something, commit to it and be devoted to it, because it's going to help you on the next step of your journey ahead, right? And this is also to do with spiritual path, because once again, we've learned so much over the last 6 months. Be committed to that. Be devoted to what you've learned. Don't question. Don't second guess yourself. Okay? Interesting. Okay, what guidance is here now from the Sacred Forest? What guidance is here, please, for Friday and the weekend? Wow, it says toadstools growth. Okay. Now, interestingly, toadstools, they grow in the dark, right? So therefore, that's exactly what we've been doing over the last 6 months, is we've been growing in the dark, okay? Now the light is coming back, or the light is coming out faster, bigger, better than what it ever has before. So yes, now we get to show the world who we really are. We get to come out of our shells. We get to be real. I can't talk today, it's always on a Monday. Okay, we get to be real, we get to be authentic, we get to show the world who we really, really are. But it's important to acknowledge all that growth that we've been doing, okay? So I'm also hearing, as we're growing, it's easier now for us to let go of holding back completely, right? Staying in the shadows, not wanting to share, not wanting to engage with life. We've grown now, the sun is out, we can now show the world who we are and share freely again to those who've proven themselves worthy, and where there is reciprocity. Okay, now let's see, what do we need to surrender for Friday and the weekend? What do we need to surrender? We had this card recently also. It says, surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us, even in the mundane aspects of life. Remember that you are a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that comes from just being you. Beautiful. Okay, I love this. It's amazing how they all tie in, right? So Friday and the weekend, this is about letting go of the barriers that have been holding you back from life, really letting go of the cocoon, because the cocoon has kept us safe and protected while we've been growing for the last 6 months. It's time to let that go now and to show the world who we really are and who we have become, right? Because let's be fair, we've all grown a hell of a lot over the last couple of months. So very, very interesting week here. Just to recap, what I love about this week, first of all, is this is a week of really going within, listening to our own truth, acknowledging the beauty in the world around us, shifting our perspective. Not everything is bad. They reminded me of that saying, what is normal for the spider is chaos for the fly, right? Something to do with that. But again, it's about perception. Right? How do we perceive the world? Do we want to see the love that's surfacing, the light that's coming out? How do we want to see this week? How do we want to see ourselves? How do we want to see see others around us as well? So again, let us remember compassion and to know that we're all absolutely doing the best that we can. There is lots of light once again coming in this week, which I think is going to be helpful because now we're going into our favorite Mercury retrograde, and it's Mercury retrograde in Libra. So this is all about relationships for the next 3 to 4 weeks or so. And I'm hearing relationship overhaul. So where there's been a need to clean house with relationships, it's time to do that. And I feel like this is quite relevant because where we're at right now, we're coming out of that cocoon different, upgraded, new. And because we're coming out of this cocoon of the last 6 months new, that means our relationships are going to kind of be affected, right? And it can be, and I'm hearing don't judge this, right? It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's about just becoming your true, real, authentic self, which triggers healing, right? And that healing may trigger you deciding to leave an abusive relationship, or it might trigger you deciding, okay, now I'm open to meeting the perfect person for me in my life, right? So don't judge it, don't label it, and whatever you do, don't be afraid of this energy. They're saying this energy is a cleanser. This Mercury retrograde energy is a cleanser. And of course, with all these beautiful light codes that are coming in from the sun, from the middle of this week onward, that is going to catalyze the process and speed it up, right? And make it a little bit easier for us to break through that cocoon and say, this is who I've become. This is me. This is the new me. I have new dreams. I'm manifesting amazing things. I'm seeing results for my efforts, okay? So that's middle of the week. And then Friday and the weekend, it feels a little bit wobbly because it's like we come unstuck. We're moving forward. We're still not sure. Are we stuck? Do I still stay in my cocoon? Can I let the cocoon go? It's that kind of energy. It's like a push-pull energy. It feels like Friday and the weekend, okay? But just remember, underneath all of that, just keep remembering who you are. You're a sovereign being. You're a piece of your creator in physical form. Honor and love yourself for the being that you are, as well as the others around you. Okay, so I hope that helps. And thank you once again for being here. And I'm sending you all so much love. Don't forget to click subscribe and all that business down at the bottom there. And have yourselves an amazing weekend. Take care. Sending you all so much love. Bye.